So hello from Green-Mopeds. So today we're taking out a forthcoming bike into the UK in a couple of weeks from Segway. We signed up with Segway because of this bike, and it's called the E300SE. I'm sure you all know Segway, but just to recap, they were known for their stand-on, sort of tilt-forward, lean-back, two-wheeler personal electric transport, the ones that you see on tours and things around the cities and things. They don't do those anymore. They now do quads, they do stand-on scooters. This is their fourth moped. It's their flagship bike. And there's 3 in the E series and 1 in their B series. Okay, so they have an interesting naming convention, I have to say. This is the E300, but it is a 125cc license. They have 2 lower spec bikes, an E110, which is a 50cc license, single battery, 1500 watt. And then they have the E125, which is still a 50cc license, 3 kilowatts, 2 batteries. Said I'm not too sure why they've chosen those numbers. They don't seem to really align with licenses, well, at least not in this country anyway. So, where does it fit? It fits in the MQiGT EVO, the Horwin EK3, and the Silence S01 sort of category. Okay, so the sort of flagship scooters that are around that sort of technical specification. However, I'll say from the outset, and I'll go through it all, to me, it looks like they've looked at all of those bikes and said, we're just going to make it a little bit better than all of them. So, to start off with power, Horwin EK3, MQiGT EVO, 6.2 kilowatts. Silence S01 connected, and even the S01 Plus, a maximum of 9 kilowatts. This one, 10 kilowatts. Horwin EK3, EVO, and even the Silence, maximum speed 62 miles an hour. This one, well, we've had it up to 69. It's 105 kilometers on the spec, so let's say it's 65, 66, something like that. The S01 Plus, I grant you, has a push-to-pass mode of 68, but that is only for a burst. It's for a sort of short period of time. So again, they've said, okay, well, which are our competitors? Let's just make it a bit better than that. Battery. Horwin EK3 with 2 batteries, 5.8 kilowatt hours. Silence S01 and S01 Plus, 5.1 kilowatt hours. MQiGT EVO, 3.7, is it? Something like that, not a lot. This one actually has a 3rd battery option. Okay, so by default, it has 2 batteries under the floor. And they are about 2 kilowatt hours by default. So 4 kilowatt hours for 2. So to start with 2 batteries, it's a little bit more than an EVO. With 2 batteries, it's a little bit more than EK3. It isn't a little bit more, in fact it's less, than a Silence S01. But if you pay the £850 option to add in the 3rd battery, which actually goes under the seat, so you have 2 underneath here and 1 under the seat, it's 6 kilowatt hours, which of course is more than the 5.1 kilowatt hours of a Silence. So again, they've like, okay, we will just make it better than those three. Battery voltage. And voltage affects acceleration often. So, EK3, EVO, 72 volt. This one, 74 volt. Silence, 51 volt. So, again, they've decided to pip it. When I do these reviews, I always sort of scan the internet for if other reviews have been done and what other people have said about them. And there are terms like game changer and you know, this is now the one to beat and all that sort of thing. And it's sort of looking that way a little bit, to be honest. But anyway, we'll come back to that. So with the two batteries, you're getting probably 20-25 miles per battery, so 50-mile range. But that's what an EVO gives you. When you turn on an EVO, it says 53 miles. Okay, I mean, there is a bit more power to the bike, so, you know, could go through them a bit quicker. But again, a little bit more than an EVO. Horwin EK3, we've tested it and we say the mileage is about 40 miles. So again, a little bit more. So 74 volt, 27 amp hour batteries, two of them. If you only have the two battery, which is the default option, you still get a good amount of storage under the seat. So it would be more storage than an EK3, certainly more storage than a EVO. You won't beat Silence for storage. They can get two full-face helmets in that, so you're not going to beat it for storage, but it's enough. It's enough for a helmet, charger. This does have a rack option, has a screen option as well, has a phone option, an actual branded phone option. So okay, on storage, if that's your ultimate decision criteria and you really don't want a rack and you have to have two full-face helmets, okay, Silence. But I would suggest that that isn't the only reason to choose a bike. So you can see it's quite nippy, and you might have seen a little Instagram post my mechanic did the other day. He had this bike wheeling, and that's down to things like it's actually 10 kilowatts. This bike only weighs, it weighs 127 kilos with two batteries, which is a little bit heavier than the rest, but it's got two batteries. But 127 kilos, it's still less than an EVO, less than a Silence. EK3's lighter. But an EK3, because it's got a chain, doesn't give you that instant acceleration like you'd get on a hub motor bike, especially one with 10 kilowatts. Okay, so if you're the sort of person who wants a bike that will accelerate away from the lights, this one, I'm pretty confident, will beat all of those other three. In fact, when we're going to our new test place, and we've got 11 seconds on a Silence S01, 0 to 60. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't beat it. All right. So, charging time. If there is one, well, there's a couple of things to highlight about this bike where they maybe could have thought differently. One is the charger. So obviously if you have two batteries, ideally you'd like to be able to charge both of them off the bike at the same time. You can't with this by default. You would have to pay £280 for an extra charger. That is about the normal price for a charger. And it's the same situation with Horwin. On the EK3, to charge both batteries at all, you have to get a second charger, or you charge one by one, either on or off the bike. Silence only has one battery, so that doesn't apply. NIU have always done a good job with charging two batteries. They include a splitter to charge both batteries off the bike by default, so that they win hands down, I guess. But for £280, you could buy a second charger and charge both of them off the bike together. Okay. Charging time is quoted at 3.5 hours for one and 5.5 hours for two, which is pretty good for two batteries for 4 kilowatts of charging. That's pretty good. Obviously that's 13 amp. You could charge both batteries together on the bike through the charging port, which is between my feet basically. Okay, so 3.5 hours to 5.5 hours depending. So then let's look at tech. So the people who are sort of known for tech are NIU mainly, Super Socko second place, Silence third place. Horwin have no app, which is one thing that they should really look at. This one has an app, I can't see a difference really between it and an NIU app in terms of functionality, and in fact it's actually got a bit more. So again, they've looked at an app and thought, how can we improve upon that, and they've added a few things. But that's related to what the bike can actually do. So for example, you can obviously start the bike through the app. As you see, even though there's an ignition slot down there, there is no need to use the key to start the bike. The key will get you under the seat, but so will this button on the green button, the ready button. That also opens the seat. So as long as the key's in proximity, you don't need to use the key to open the seat. Okay. It's also got some other sort of things that the other people haven't thought of, which I'll try and show you. One is, from a tech perspective, one is hill start. So on hub motorbikes, typically, if you squeeze the brake, you deactivate the throttle. Okay, so that's sort of fine, I guess, other than when you're doing a CVT where you're supposed to do throttle and brake together to show that you can control the bike. But most of them do that. Essentially it's to stop burnout of the motor. However, where that actually comes in useful is on a hill, because you sort of want to hold the bike on a hill with brake and throttle. Obviously if it disables the throttle, you're holding it on the brake, which okay, is possible, it's not a problem. But what Segway have done is they introduced, which is I think unique, something called hill start. And hill start, you'll see it come up when we get to somewhere suitable. This will change to an H, and what it means is the bike will hold you just without you doing anything. And as soon as you twist the brake, it will release the hill start and off you go. Okay, and it does work. It's you know, you can try pushing back on it on a hill start, and it will actually stop you from rolling back. Okay, so quite a clever feature. This bike does have 3 modes and reverse. You might have just seen the dash, see flashing purple. That means it is boosting. So in some respects it's a bit like the S01 Plus push to pass mode, other than the fact you can use it all the time if you wanted. Obviously you'll get through the battery quite quickly, but it is to put sort of an increased amount of power to the bike for when you need to accelerate, and that can be at any time. So on the S01 Plus there are sort of quite strict criteria. That's the hill start mode kicking in there. I'll show you that next stop. On the S01 Plus, the push to pass mode is only available, see it's flashing purple, is only available when you're doing 50 miles an hour, when you're in top mode. It only lasts for 30 seconds and you cannot use it again for 2 minutes. Okay, so I guess it is usable. You sort of have to plan your overtaking manoeuvres, I suppose. Whereas this is just a boost mode that's available whenever you want it, in 2 or 3. Okay, as you see, when you do it, flashes purple, mode 2, and it will accelerate you. Okay, the dash changes colour, or the edges of the dash changes colour on how you're riding. So when it's got regen, because it has got regen. It's actually got two forms of regen, two strengths of regen. That goes green when it's using the regen. And the stronger regen will stop the bike without brakes. Okay, I'll enable that when we stop, just to show you. For now, you see it's not doing it. But when we enable the standard regen, it will stop the bike. Again, other bikes have regen, but they've looked at it and said, well, you know, regen typically gives you 5% back. There aren't many bikes that allow you to turn it, to vary the strength. Ascol have a bike that allows you to turn on and off passive regen, but they don't really let you adjust the strength like this bike does. Most other bikes give you a bit of regen, but it's not going to give you a lot, and it certainly doesn't stop the bike. Whereas with theirs, they've decided, right, we'll do, you know, like a Tesla, they'll actually enable you to stop the bike. So if that's not enough, they've also added in ABS. None of the other bikes have ABS. Okay, they've also added in traction control. None of the other bikes have traction control. So what we'll do is we're getting to our road that actually enables us to go top speed, because this will do over 60, as I said, and we'll talk to you a little bit about the dash, and then we'll do our speed tests and then wrap up. Okay, so we've pulled up, and I just thought I'd go around the dash and show you a bit about the app. So dash first. So ready mode, seat open, but if you press it twice, as it says here, hazard lights, modes, up and down. Okay, cruise control, horn, indicators, which are silent, although that's just because they're turned off. We can turn on the indicator noise. It hasn't got auto cancelling like NIU, not particularly a big deal. Round the dash, speed, time, state of charge, Bluetooth connected, mode, etc., etc. If you want to be hypercritical, the tacho mileometer is pretty small to read, but it's down there. Okay, so this is the app. Here you see range 39, 79% remaining, total miles ridden, etc., etc. Here you can see energy consumption and all that good stuff, maximum speed that we've done. There is historical tracking as well. So rider recorder. Here you can see, as you can see here, speed we got it up to 68 miles an hour. That was on the stand, so that doesn't count. All right. You've got features, so firmware updates, that's like an NIU. Regen power. So if we change it to standard, that should now start slowing the bike down on its own. Okay, you've got security and anti-theft things. One of the things that it does also do is turn the bike off if you walk away from it with the bike on. Okay, so another quite clever feature, you know, just get off, walk away, and it will turn itself off. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll now do our 0 to top. This is a national speed limit road, so we should do okay on this. Then we'll come back and we'll do it again on the other mode from the other place to stop over there and see how we get on. We'll put the times up as we normally do. One thing I didn't mention is, although it's got traction control, you can turn that off as well. I'm not going to do that for this. Let me just show you, I think I can now show you also hill start. That's too flat. All right, I'll try and find a hill and show you that later. All right, so yeah, we'll put the times up, and as soon as there's a break in the traffic, we will go, which is now. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, There you go, 65. So pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure that's quicker than 11 seconds on a silence. Okay. Clearly you're going to be rattling through the battery if you ride like that all the time. But these bikes are still, you know, commuting bikes, into city commuting, not high-speed long trips, but pretty impressive. So we'll go round and then do the same in mode 2 and see how that compares, and again we'll put the times up. Oh, just to show you that the regen has kicked in there. See, I'm not holding the brakes and it's pretty aggressive. That's the standard mode. I seem to remember on the other bikes there is 3 settings. I think one of them is off. So you see I'm not holding the brakes, and there you go, I have stopped. So again, just a little bit more than what the others can do. Okay, so we'll on the way back we'll do it in mode 2, and just to give you a feel for what it's like there. In fact, this regen is probably too aggressive, to be honest. Yeah. All right, back in a minute. Okay, so we're going to do it in mode 2. I don't think it gets to the top speed in mode 2. It'd be surprising if it did. But anyway, we'll put the times up and see how we get on. All right, let's go. 20, 30, 40, 50. 60, 62, 63. Okay, looks like you can get to pretty much the same speed in mode 2, but I assume it's not going to be as quick as in mode 3. It also seems that the regen seems to happen more in mode 3. Here you see hill start, H, on the dash. See, I'm pushing back as far as I can, and it's not letting me. Pretty cool. Okay, so to summarise, is it a game changer? It's certainly set a higher standard, and that will be seen if you then talk about the price. So this is basically the end of August. NIU have got a sale on their EVO, and the EVO currently is £3,500. By Thursday it won't be that price. Whether it goes back up to 4,800 is to be seen, but let's assume it is. So 4,800 for an EVO. For a Horwin EK3, it is 4,099 with 1 battery and 5,294, I think it is, with 2. So 5,300. The Silence S01 connected is now 6,300, which is quite high, I would say. The S01 Plus, which adds the push-to-pass mode, rear suspension upgrade, very adjustable rear suspension and wavy discs and a nicer seat, is 7,300. This one is £4,000 with 2 batteries after the grant. So it's on the grant. So it's got the 2 years on the bike, 3 years on the batteries. So £4,000. So it's less than the Horwin EK3. And that's got to add a second battery. If you add the 3rd battery to make it more capacity than all of them, it's £4,849. So still cheaper than a Horwin EK3 with 2 batteries, even though it's going to give you more capacity in the first place. Still, you know, 4,000 to 6,002. I mean, £2,300 less than a Silence S01, other than storage. What's the downside? So the downside is, the major downside, I guess. There you go, he'll start again, so you can't shift it backwards. Is its 12-inch wheels. So the others are all bigger. MQiGT EVO 14, Horwin 13 at the front, I think. S01 15. But it's got traction control. It's got ABS. The others don't have that. So you should be feel fairly confident that with those 2 features, smaller wheels should make less of a difference. If it was 10-inch wheels, then yeah, I could say not so good. Ideally, they would make it with at least 14-inch, I guess. Single battery charging off the bike, okay. But as I said, you could add the extra charger for £280. So £4,300, let's say, for dual battery charging off the bike. Okay, so, interesting. Here's a 0. We should give it a race, shouldn't we? So it is, to use the cliche, a bit of a game changer. The others have to up their game, basically, because as I said at the beginning, it has looked at them. It seems to have looked at them and said, we're going to make it better than them all. And it's got the Segway brand behind it. It's in a collaboration with a company called Ninebot. So it is American stroke Chinese. Oh, I guess one other drawback, if you're really into that, black is the only colour, gloss black. You know, I'm sure you can live with that for a bike like this. Alright, so it's coming in the 18th of September. We've got one order already. And we'll obviously have one of these for our own demo bike. This is actually the sample bike that's come over. We've been lent it for a few days. You're welcome to come for a test ride yourself. Please feel free to contact us with any questions you might have about this bike. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Green-Mopeds, for other updates. We'll do, we might not have time to do a static review before it goes, but we'll certainly do one once we get our demo bike and actually show you some of the features of it close up. But hopefully that's helped in your research, and thanks very much.